Before I begin with my remarks, I'd like to make a couple of acknowledgments. Because of our schedules, it is not often that my husband is able to accompany me when I speak at different events, but he was able to be here tonight. So I'd like for my sweet husband to stand up, Travis Cox. It is because of him that I'm able to do what I do and do it well. Without his support, I would not be able to do that. He is a sergeant with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and when he was able to go with me previously, especially the churches and schools, he would sometimes be in uniform, and the children would think he was my security. And I would say, well, he does secure me, but he's my husband. But it was so amusing when the children would love to see the police officer with me. So he's not in uniform tonight, but he does keep me safe and secure. I would also like to thank Dr. Daywood, who's in the back. She is one of the professors here at the University of North Florida. Dr. Daywood is the reason I am here, because she has allowed me to partner with her at the University of North Florida with her leadership classes. And she brings me in a couple of times each semester to speak to the students there. And I really do count it an honor to speak into the hearts of young people. So I thank Dr. Daywood for that. I love that the Institute for Values, Community, and Leadership are the ones that are helping to put this together, because I think when you talk about leadership, values and community always go hand in hand with that. So in order to start, I want to give you the definition of leadership. Leadership is defined as a process whereby an individual influences a person or a group of people to achieve a common goal. Every one of you have the potential for great leadership, civic leadership, as well as leadership in your career. There are many theories, examples, and skills for building the potential that you have for leadership. I hope that after your time with me tonight, that you will see and learn from a real life example, from someone who has put those theories and skills into practice. I received an email today, and the person's signature said this: if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are a leader. And that is so true. If your actions inspire someone to do more, dream more, become more, you are leading them. The question is, what direction are you leading them in? So I hope after tonight, you are able to take some things from me that allow you to become a successful leader. But I think also some of the things that you will hear from me will allow you to make your life more rewarding and the community in which we live a better place to be. So my goals tonight are to assist you in developing the confident leader in you, to inspire you to become a leader that people want to follow, not have to follow. And finally, to help you see that there is no purpose in living a life less than what you're capable of. You all have great potential, and you should live the fullest life that you can. So I hope that I will assist you in doing that. Now, any good lawyer, and I was a lawyer before I was a judge, so any good lawyer gives you a roadmap. They tell you where they're going. So this is where we're going. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my road to the bench. I'm going to share with you some of the secrets to my success. I'm going to challenge you, and then finally, I'm going to give you time for questions and answers. So I hope you have questions for me, and if you do, we'll give you an opportunity to ask some of those questions at the end. I started out as a prosecutor. In the legal field, you can practice criminal law or civil law. My practice was in criminal prosecution. As a criminal prosecutor, we were responsible for protecting the community when people committed crimes. I was a prosecutor for 6.5 years when I applied to the bench. After practicing law for 6.5 years, there was an opportunity here in Jacksonville where the legislature created a new judgeship, and the governor appoints for that judgeship. There are two ways you can become a judge. You can either be elected by the people, or you can be appointed. It's a gubernatorial appointment, so appointed by the governor. So I applied, even though I was only 32 years old and everybody told me I was too young. I applied for that position, and you apply here locally to the Judicial Nominating Commission. That is 9 individuals, 5 of which are lawyers and 4 citizens. they interview you, and then they nominate out of the group to the governor, and then you go to the governor's office and interview. So I interviewed here locally with 19 other people. They nominated 6 of us to the governor's office. At that time, it was Governor Jeb Bush, and Governor Jeb Bush chose me for the position. And that was 6 years ago. I've been on the bench for 6 years, and I sat for re-election in 2008, and I was unopposed. So now I'm in office for till 2015, and then I'll be up for election again. So although it is an elected position, when you're appointed, although it is an appointed position, when you are appointed, you must sit for election 2 years after you're appointed to be retained. And then you're re-elected every 6 years. You're up for election every 6 years. So I was a prosecutor, and now I sit in county court. In county court, we handle small claims, which is civil, where people are suing each other for money, up to $5,000. Civil county, which is people suing each other for money, up to $15,000. Criminal and traffic court. So we rotate into 4 different courts on a 17-week schedule. So every week I can be somewhere different depending on my schedule. If I'm in traffic court, we're out on Beach Boulevard where people go if they have tickets. I hope none of you guys were there. And if we're in first appearance court, that is criminal court over at the jail. So we travel over to the jail and have court in the jail. We travel out to Beach Boulevard and have court out there for traffic court. And then we have pre-trials and criminal cases in the main courthouse. So we rotate through those courts on a 17-week schedule. Now today, I humbly stand before you as a county court judge appointed to the bench by a governor, but that's not where my story began. Today, I'm on the faculty of the Florida Judicial College, which has the responsibility of educating new judges, but that is not where my story began. Today, I am a role model for young girls and women in our local community, but that is not where my story began. They tell me that my reputation around the courthouse is a good one, but that is not where my story began. The person that I saw in the mirror was an angry, poverty-stricken little girl in Detroit, Michigan. The person in my mirror did not have 2 parents to raise her. The person in my mirror did not have 1 parent to raise her. The person in my mirror was raised by her grandmother in a drug-infested neighborhood in Detroit, Michigan. The person in my mirror skipped school regularly, got in fights on a daily basis, received C's and D's in school, and had a crack-addicted mother as a role model. The person in my mirror often went without food to eat, rarely had new clothes to wear, and had to dodge bullets as a part of everyday life. The person in my mirror turned into an angry, rebellious, disrespectful young lady. So what is it that changed the reflection that I saw in the mirror? How did the person in my mirror go from an inarticulate, disrespectful little girl to the woman you see today? How did the person in my mirror go from a CD student to a law student? How did the person in my mirror go from the streets of Detroit to the governor's office in Tallahassee, Florida? How did the person in my mirror go from no honor to your honor? I chose to do something different. I chose to change my attitude. I chose to change my actions. I decided that if nothing else around me changed, I would change. I decided to develop the confident leader in me. And when I say that, that is exactly what I mean. Have confidence in your intellect, in your talent, in your abilities, in your skills, in your strengths. You identify them and use them for your benefit. Identify your weaknesses and turn them into strengths. Be the best you can be. Be confident in who you are and what you have to offer. For me, it was the example of leadership that I saw in my everyday life, in my everyday dealings with people that helped me to develop into a confident leader. It inspired me to change, seeing the leader in other people. I watched those around me and I learned from them. There were so many differences in them. Some had very quiet natures, some were more outgoing, but they were still confident leaders that I could learn from. Oftentimes, whether you want to or intend to be a leader, you are a leader. The question is, what path are you leading people down? Is it one of success or one of failure? You are leaders in your homes to your siblings, in your schools to your classmates. You're leaders in your workplaces, in your churches, in the community in which you live. People may be looking up to you and you not even realize it. People may be emulating you and you don't realize it. Most of the women I learned from, many of the women I learned from, didn't even realize I was watching them and learning from them so that I could become the woman you see today. So be confident in who you are and what you have to offer, especially for those people who are more soft-spoken than some of us, because I am not soft-spoken at all. But for those of you who are soft-spoken or may have a more laid-back personality, you're needed in our community. Don't feel like you're less of a leader than someone else because you're not in front of people speaking, you're not in front of people directing. You're still a leader. And the personality in which you have, that soft-spoken, laid-back, easygoing personality, the fact that you don't always speak up, that is a trait that people can learn from. People like me, I learn from quiet people. Because quiet people teach you to listen and not speak so fast. Quiet people teach you to use your ears and not always your mouth. Quiet people teach you to reflect before you speak. So be confident in who you are and what you have, because there are people who can learn from you. Be the best you can be. I want you to take from me to show people your very best, because people may be learning from you. So show them your very best at all times. Endeavor not to just be a confident leader, but I want you to be a leader that people want to follow, not have to follow. It's one thing if somebody says, I'm following this person because I have to. And if they say, I'm following this person because I want to. You want to be the type of person and have the type of character that people are lining up behind you to support you in whatever you're doing. That people are moved to action because of your character. That people are willing to go to bat for you because of the type of person that you have been, the example that you have been before them. So be the type of person that people want to follow, not have to follow. So the question I pose to you tonight is, how many people are better off because you lived? And I say that because that is one measure of success. People often think of the money that we make, the cars that we drive, the clothes that we wear, the houses that we live in. That is a measure of success, but not the most important measure of success. How many people are better off because you lived? Because you woke up today? Because you went to work today? Because you came to class today? How many people are better off because you lived? What will your story be? The fact that you are here tonight, whether your teachers encouraged it or just because you wanted to come out and hear, proves that you have what it takes to write a story that you can be proud of. You have the ambition, you have the ability, you have the drive to write a story that you can be proud of. But beginning today, how many people will be better off because you lived? That is one definition of success. I believe the desire to answer that question is the first step in becoming a good leader. The fact that you have the desire to find out, am I impacting other people with my influence and my abilities? The desire to answer that question is the very first step in becoming a successful leader. So don't just allow your leadership skills to enhance your life, but allow it to enhance the lives of every person that you touch. The next step in becoming a good leader is developing a character that you can be proud of. Reputation is what other people think of you. Character is what you do when nobody's around. And that's an important distinction, because does it really matter what other people think of you if that's not really you? I can tell you in my experience that having a good character sets you up for success, because that's the real you. And if it is the real you, then you're consistently that way. But if people think you're a certain way, but you're not really that way, then it doesn't benefit you in the long run. So develop a character that you can be proud of, that people are willing. You know I'm a judge and I have phones going off in here. Okay. Now you want to develop a character that not only allows you to be a good leader, but a great leader. And that should be your goal, not to just be a good leader, but a great leader. I'm going to share with you some things that I've learned over the years. Now, everything I'm going to share with you, I have learned from someone else. Either women that I encountered over the years, men that I've come in contact with over the years. My husband has taught me a lot about leadership. So the things that I'm sharing with you, I've learned from other people. So I'm hoping you learn something from me in order to develop your leadership style. I hope that you see, when you look at these philosophies of leadership, that there's really no purpose in living a life less than what you're capable of. If you're capable of doing more and doing better and being better, what is the purpose of being less? So I hope that you'll take these secrets to my success and you will be able to incorporate them into your leadership style so that you can be a leader that you can be proud of. The first thing I want to share with you is that your time is limited. So don't waste it living someone else's life. Stop comparing yourself to other people. There are over 60 judges in Duval, Clay, and Nassau. I don't look like many of them. I don't speak like many of them, and that's okay. I would not make a great Judge Day or Judge Hudson or Judge Wilkes, but I make a great Judge Cox. Be you, and be the best you can be. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop comparing yourself to your coworkers, your siblings, your classmates. Work on your little world. Be the best you can be. Time is too short to be comparing yourself to other people. Had I altered my personality, had I altered who I really am in order to please other people or in order to be what I thought they would be, I would not have been in a position to get appointed by Governor Bush. Governor Bush liked Angela. But had I been pretending to be someone else, I would not have been able to connect with him in a way that allowed him to appoint me to the bench at such a young age. Be the best you can be. And all of us have flaws. We all have weaknesses. We all have strengths. Use those strengths to your advantage. If you have weaknesses, figure out how you can use them as strengths. If you have flaws, figure out how you can correct them. Every day, you should be evolving and changing and learning and becoming a better person. So don't let your self-esteem be affected by what you have done in the past, and don't let it affect your future. Don't focus on what happened in the past. Because if I focused on what happened in the past, I would never have become a law student because I was a CD student until 10th grade. In 10th grade, I decided that education was important to me. And many of you have already made that decision. So you're 10 steps ahead of me of where I was at your age. So be the best you can be and stop comparing yourself to other people. When you talk about character, that's number 2, about developing your character. When you talk about character, you want to be a person of your word. You want to do what you say you're going to do, be where you say you're going to be. And that's so important because being a person of your word always sets you up for success. When I applied for this position, I told you I've been practicing law 6.5 years. I applied with people who have been practicing law 30 years, 28 years, 17 years, 12 years. The next person more seasoned in the law than me at 6.5 years was 12 years. So I've been practicing 6.5 years. The next person was 12.5 years, and it went up. And the most seasoned lawyer in my group had been practicing law 30 years. And I believe what truly made me stand out was being a person of my word. Because as a lawyer, there's so many negative connotations that go with the law, being a lawyer. People say that lawyers are liars, you can't trust them. So I wanted to overcome that in my small little world. So when I gave my word, I kept my word. And I was in criminal prosecution. So in criminal prosecution, if you told somebody, this is my offer, 10 years in prison, that lawyer takes it to their client and says, her offer is 10 years in prison, you're facing life. So they're taking your representation and giving their client advice. So if we were to go to court and we stand in front of the judge and the judge says, have you negotiated the case? And the defense says, yes, Ms. Cox offered me 10 years. My offer is revoked. I revoke my offer. That has now broken down the communication between the state and the defense and the court, because I did not keep my word. The defendant is standing there thinking, I thought I was going to get 10 years, I'm facing life. So it affects so many people if I did not keep my word as a prosecutor. And that's across any type of law that you would practice. If you don't keep your word, it breaks down communication. So if I were to do that, the next time somebody had a case with me, what will the defense lawyer say? You can't trust what she says. You better get it in writing. So I made sure my reputation was one where they could know that if I said it, my word was my bond. And you know, you hear that in rap songs and you hear young people say, my word is my bond. Well, the Florida Supreme Court has put in the guidelines for professionalism, your word should be your bond. So, I'm not speaking slang. Your word should be your bond, says the Florida Supreme Court. So, it's extremely important that your word is your bond because people are relying on it, regardless of if you're a lawyer or in some other area, some other career choice. You should be a type of person where they say, if she said it, she's going to do it. If she says she's going to be there, she will. Dr. Daywood did not have to worry that I would show up tonight because she knows my reputation. I have gone to her classes to speak when I have been deathly ill because I gave her my word. Your word is your bond. And sometimes to your detriment, you have to keep your word. For example, being ill. I was ill. I did not feel like getting out of my bed. I did not have to go to work, but I told Dr. Daywood I would be in her class that day. So for me, in my mind, it could have been to my detriment because I was not feeling well and I wanted the students to receive 100% of me. But I was going to be there because I told her I would and she was relying on me. Your reputation should be the same. If you tell people you're going to do something, you should do it. And I truly believe it will always set you up for success if you keep your word. As I began to change the person I saw in the mirror, my new attitude began to manifest itself in my actions. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your character. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits, and your habits become your character. Positive thoughts breed positive words. Positive words breed positive actions. Positive actions breed positive habits, and positive habits make a great character. Be a person of your word. And especially important for students because you can start now. When I ran track in high school because my grandmother made me. I happened to be good at it. I think it's because when I had a really bad attitude, I would punch people and run in high school. So I think I got fast. But my grandmother didn't want me in the streets in Detroit, so she said, you have to do something. So what are you going to do? And I was like, I guess I'll run track. And I happened to be fast. So when I ran track, my track coach would say, perfect practice makes perfect. And you'll hear, usually when I say that, students will come up to me and say, I was in band, and my band teacher always said that. So usually in organized sports and organized activities, some of the teachers or coaches say perfect practice makes perfect. Some people say practice makes perfect. But my coach always said perfect practice makes perfect because when you do it right in practice, you'll always do it right when it's game time. Same with your character. Perfect practice makes perfect. If you are starting now as a student to keep your word, to be where you say you're going to be, to do what you say you're going to do, it'll be easy breezy when you get into your career. Perfect practice makes perfect. The third thing I learned when I was trying to develop the confident leader in me was to be on time. Be on time. There are instances where we have been late for one appointment or another, but it should be the exception and not the rule. I won't say that you'll never be late. Because there will be traffic sometimes. There will be accidents sometimes. There will be things that will make you late. But your philosophy should be, I am on time. And that is so important. It may not be as important to you now as a student, but it will become very important when you become an employee. Because when I was a supervisor in the state attorney's office, and there are two lawyers who have really good work ethic, their quality of work was very good. Their professionalism was really good. Everything about them was really good. So when I had to decide who I should recommend for promotion, you have to start looking at other things. Who came in the office early and stayed late? Who was always on time? Because if you're supposed to be at work at 8 o'clock, walking in at 8 o'clock is not on time. Because you have to put your purse down, put your wallet in your desk, get your coffee, organize your desk before you go to court. Early is on time is late, late is unthinkable. That should be your mentality. Early is on time is late, late is unthinkable. I got that from my track coach also. Everything I share with you, I've learned from somebody else. So that should be your mentality. And this is why. For some people, time is extremely important. For others, not so much. So you may have a supervisor where time is not important, so it would not affect you as much. But then what if your supervisor changes? And it's a person like me, where time is important. When I was dating my husband, he was late this many times, never. And had he been late, he'd been cut. We would not have been dating because you are not late for a date with me because my time is important. But that's my mentality about time, period, in court and otherwise. And that's his mentality. That's why we mesh so well together. He is never late. And this is what being late or not says about you, or can say about you, especially to people where time is important. It can indicate organization or lack thereof, proper planning or lack thereof, the ability to multitask and multitask well, and probably most importantly, it can indicate your appreciation and concern for other people's time. I've been on the bench 6 years. I used to be able to say I've never been late to court ever in my 6 years on the bench. Now it's one time I've been late, and that one time I was late, I did it on purpose. I was in my office at 8:30. I take the bench at 9:30, and I was late on purpose because of a lawyer. I was sitting in my office. I get an email from this lawyer that says he did not do what I told him to do. So I sat in my office until I brought my temperature down because I didn't want him to go into court and snap his head off. So I sat in my office, and I'm already a time person, so I'm looking at the time like, I should have been in court by now, but I am still heated. So I sat in my office until I calmed down. Now, this is why I share with you that I've never been late for court, because other people's time is important. I have heard lawyers say when I was a lawyer, that judge is always late for court. Somebody ought to run against him or her. That judge is always late for court. They don't care about our time. That judge is sitting in the office drinking coffee. So when I became a judge, I promised myself I will never be late for court, not without a really good reason. So I was never late for court. And I have a 3-year-old. And for those of you who don't have children, 3-year-olds run the world. They really do. So I had to put time into my morning to make sure that if I had any hiccups with this little bossy 3-year-old, I would still be able to get to work on time. So in my mind, I had to be at work at 8:30, although I don't have to be in court till 9:30. I had a whole hour so that if anything happened, I would be on time. So in that regard, I have never been late to court. The one time I was late that I was telling you about with the lawyer, when I went into court, I apologized to the lawyers because they were waiting for me. And I told them the reason I was late. And I pointed at the lawyer and said, you are the reason I am late. Because I didn't want to hurt your feelings this morning. Because I wanted the other lawyers to know, your time is important to me. But there is a reason why I did not take the bench this morning. And that reputation, I believe, helped me when I was up for election. Because it is lawyers that run against you. Because you have to be a lawyer to be a judge. So it's lawyers that run against you. So if you are respectful to everyone, if you treat everyone with courtesy, they will protect you when it's time for re-election because they won't run against you because they think that's a good judge we need to keep. There may be some judges that need to go, but this is a good judge we need to keep. So you treat everyone with respect because it does pave the way. A, it should just be your philosophy, but it paves the way for a good relationship with others. So be on time. Make it your philosophy. This characteristic of punctuality often makes or breaks many people when you get into the workforce. It can affect your access to certain job opportunities, on your performance evaluations, and obtaining promotions. Make being on time a priority. My next step to my success is become a person of integrity. Be honest, be incorruptible, be truthful and fair in your dealings. Treat people with courtesy and respect. Determine your moral compass. Moral compass is what guides and directs you. What is important to you? For some people, it's family. They don't want to disappoint their family. For some people, it's religion. For some people, it is just doing right versus wrong. You have to decide what your moral compass is. What is it inside of you that guides and directs you? And your moral compass should be your guide in whatever field you choose, in whatever leadership position you hold. Your moral compass should guide and direct every decision that you make. When people talk about you, you want them to say, she's a person of integrity. That's a person who is incorruptible. She is honest and she is fair. As a prosecutor, defense attorneys would make counteroffers. So you would offer 30 years in prison, they'll say, will you take 15? As a person of my word, I want to consider their counteroffer. As a prosecutor, you want to do what's right. You gave an offer, you thought it was fair, but that should not close the door to listening to the other side. So I considered what they had to offer. I looked at their mitigation packages. When they put together packets of information 2 inches thick and wanted me to read it and say, consider this for my client, I read it so that I can make a fair decision. Be a person of integrity. It will always pave the way for success. As a leader, you want to create the biggest vision possible for yourself. Because when you think big, you can do big things. I never would have thought in college that I would have been a young judge appointed to the bench. I never would have thought that. But you create the biggest vision possible for yourself, and then you break that vision down into small, attainable goals. And then you make one goal at a time. Don't be afraid to rewrite your vision. Now that I've been on the bench at the age that I have at 33 years of age, that means my plans have to change because I could be on the bench 50 years. So I have to decide, what are you going to do next? So it's okay to change your vision, reassess, look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, look at your opportunities, and don't be afraid to change your vision. But create a big vision so that you can break it down into small, attainable goals. As you meet those goals, make more goals. As you meet that goal, make more goals. Create a huge vision for your life so that you can do great things. Finally, perceived failure is the catalyst to success. In other words, what certain people believe is failure, you should see as something that can push you into success. Or what you think is failure, you should see as something that can push you into success. It doesn't bother me when people tell me no. It does not bother me if I apply for something and they tell me no. Because what appears to be failure, in my opinion, catapults me into success. I allow it to be a stepping stone for me versus letting it affect my esteem and what I think about myself. My philosophy has always been, all I need is one yes. I don't need everybody to say yes to me, I just need one. So it does not matter to me if I don't get this job, or if I don't get into this school, or if I don't get this scholarship. All I need is one yes, so I'm gonna keep applying until somebody says yes. Don't let your grade point average or the fact that you didn't get something that you applied for affect your esteem. In my opinion, you're missing out because I have something great to offer. So if you chose to say no and not hire me for this job, I'm gonna take all this great talent, all these great skills, and I'm gonna do something else great. You can't let it just buckle you down because you didn't get one of the things you applied for. Let your perceived failure catapult you into success. Did you know that there was a man who ran for state office and lost, ran for Congress and lost, ran for vice president and lost? That was President Abraham Lincoln. What if he would have just stopped because he lost the first election? He would never have become president of the United States of America. Did you know that there was a man who worked many long hours in a company, worked his way up from the bottom to become regional manager to one day be fired for no reason? That was Arthur Blank, co-founder of Home Depot and eventual owner of the Atlanta Falcons. What if he would have said, they fired me after I did all this work for this company and just didn't do anything else great? He never would have been the co-owner of the Atlanta Falcons. We go to Home Depot every Saturday and spend our money. What if he would have just given up? Did you know that there was a man who tried and failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb? That was Thomas Edison. Hello, we're sitting under his lights. What if he would have quit at 899 times? Perceived failure is the catalyst to your success. The common denominator in these three history-making successes is that they did not let what seemed to be failure stop them. Thomas Edison went on to say, many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Did you know that there was one woman who applied to 10 law schools and only got accepted to one? That is the Honorable Angela Cox. All I need is one yes. And I'm not embarrassed by that fact that I only got into one law school. I believe that law school was very smart in picking me. But my point is, it doesn't affect my self-esteem. I share that in a heartbeat. Because just like they call me Your Honor, they call the Harvard graduate Your Honor. I make the same amount of money as them. It doesn't matter that I only got into one law school. I got my law degree, and Governor Bush said yes, that's all that matters. All you need is one yes. Perceived failure should catapult you into success. It should make you want to be the best that you can be. It should make you want to prove to those who you feel like rejected your talents and your gifts that you can be the best that you can be. When Mr. Shorstein hired me as a state attorney, he said, your GPA is 2.8. Now let me tell you, I was a CD student until 10th grade, so when I decided to change my attitude, I had to work harder than everyone else because I didn't have the study skills, the skill set to advance in school like my counterparts. They were studying, I was clowning. So I had to work harder, longer, stronger than everybody else. My third year of law school, I think I slept 2 hours a night. It was bad. It was so bad. I would go to class, go work in the law library, go work at UPS lifting boxes at UPS till 3 o'clock in the morning every day. Then I would go home, take my shower, put on my underclothes, and lay on the floor because I didn't want to be late for my 7 a.m. job at the U.S. Attorney's Office. That was my life, my third year of law school. That was the consequence of not doing what I had to do. But the lesson in that is there are consequences, but you have to work harder, longer, stronger than everyone else, but you can do it. So yes, that was a miserable third year of law school, but today you can call me Your Honor. It does not matter what your past is. You can do exactly what you need to do. So I worked really hard in law school. I went to every study session. I met with my professors. I tried my very best, and I still only got a 2.8. And I was like, you have to be kidding me. I'm working so hard. I still only got a 2.8. So when I applied for my job as a state attorney, Mr. Shorstein said, you're from Detroit, so you're probably going to want to go home and get homesick, and you have a 2.8. And I said, Mr. Shorstein, if you give me one chance, I'll be the best prosecutor you ever had. And he gave me a chance. And every year, the state attorney's office gave out their awards in January. And that year, Outstanding Young Prosecutor went to me. Because I told Mr. Shorstein what I was going to do, and I kept my word. I'm going to work hard for you. I'm going to be a good trial lawyer for you. And that year when they gave out, it was called Rookie of the Year. Now it's Outstanding Young Prosecutor. I was the Rookie of the Year that year. When Mr. Shorstein had to make a decision to appoint division chief, a supervisor, I had been in the office 5 years. People had been getting appointed division chief at 8 years, 9 years, or more. There were people who had been in the office longer than me that were not division chiefs. Mr. Shorstein picked me because I kept my word. I worked hard for him because he gave me an opportunity when nobody else would. So that 2.8 did not define me because I knew that I had the ability and the talent if people could see beyond my GPA. All you need is one yes, and Mr. Shorstein gave me my one yes, and he was a great boss to me. He gave me my one yes, and I kept my word to him by being the best prosecutor that I could be. Now, what you want to take from that is be extraordinary. Don't settle for mediocrity. There is no passion in living a life less than what you're capable of. Don't settle for being mediocre. Be above and beyond. Because I didn't have the skill set with regard to studying that my counterparts had, I had to stand out. I had to stand heads above the crowd because I had to come from the back of the race to the front. Your philosophy in life should be extraordinary. That should be your philosophy. And our older daughter, she graduated from FSU, and I taught her the same thing. She's my bonus child from my husband, and I love her like she's my own. And I taught her the same thing, be extraordinary. She would have papers at FSU, and I would be reading their papers, and I'd be like, we need to add something to this because you want to be extraordinary. You don't want to just turn in the paper. You want to add a poster board to it. You want to do something that makes you stand out to your professors. So then, when you're applying for a scholarship, that professor will say, I'll write you a letter when you ask them. I'll be happy to write you a letter because you what? Were above and beyond. You went above and beyond. You didn't just do what everybody else was doing. You stood out. So be extraordinary. Don't settle for mediocrity. Good leaders are continually working and studying to improve their leadership skills. I've shared some tools with you. Take those and make them a part of your character. Learn from other people. Every time you encounter someone, you should learn something from them, even if it's something negative that you don't want a part of your character. I am always looking at myself saying, how can I be better? What can I do to be a better boss? What can I do to be a better judge? What can I do to be a better wife, a better mother? You should always be enhancing. Every person I come in contact with, I try and take something away from them. You'll come into contact with people in Publix and say, I don't want to be like her because she was rude and not polite. So there, you may learn that. You'll see negative things and say, is that a part of my personality? If so, let me change some things. So evolve. Always be in a position of evolving. This is just a snapshot of the many things I've learned over the years about developing my character, about developing the confident leader in me, the things that I've used to make people want to follow me and not have to follow me. And speaking of which, I have young ladies here that I mentor, law students. My law students, raise your hand, Kyla. And where's Carolyn? Did Carolyn have to step out? Okay, they're law students, and they're here tonight because I'm here. People who want to follow you, not have to follow you. They're law students that are trying to glean. Kyla and I meet every single month so that she can talk to me about what issues she's seeing in law school, what issues she's encountering in her internship, so that she can start to develop that process of becoming a confident leader. So you need to latch on to someone that you respect and that you trust and learn from them. Learn something from every person that you encounter. This young lady here came up to me and told me I spoke at Raines High School, was it 4 years ago, 3 years ago? She's like, you're a junior. So she was a senior, so 3 years ago. And she said she came because she saw that I was speaking, because I spoke at her high school, impacting people that you encounter. That just blessed me so much that she came up and said hello to me, because you never know if you're making a positive impact on people. So I obviously left an impression with her that it made her want to come her junior year at UNF, 3 years after hearing me speak at her high school. Be a person people want to follow, not have to follow. So I hope that you have gleaned some things from me that you find helpful, that you can use in going forward. And my challenge to you is to become a great leader that not only impacts your small little place in the world, but that impacts every life that you touch. My challenge to you is to be a great leader that leads other people down a path of success and not a path of failure. And I'm going to end with a quote by Henry Ford. It has been my observation that most people get ahead during the time that others waste. Don't waste your time. Be extraordinary. Be above and beyond. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're going to allow for question and answers. If you have a question, the microphone is here. If you'll approach and tell me your name, and if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them. Yes, sir, coordinator. Sir.
Your Honor.
Yes.
My name is Stanford D. Taylor. I'm a music education major, deaf education minor. My question for you is, what is one piece of advice that you wish somebody would have given you? Like throughout your whole process of learning and getting to your career, what is one piece of advice that you wish somebody would have given you?
I wish I would have known earlier to find someone to mentor me. I did later in life, but I wish someone would have told me that earlier, to find a mentor and latch onto them and learn as much as I can. I have to say, just to piggyback on your question, that the women that I learned from, only one of them was related to me. I learned from 7 women who had no blood relation to me. That is how important it is, how you impact the community. So if they would have told me earlier in life to get a mentor, I would have done that.
And my second question is, you spoke earlier about how you're a judge and you got it so early. What's next? What's next for you?
I don't know, because he asked what's next in my career. Logically, you would go to the next level, which is appellate court. I am a trial court judge. You would go to the appellate court and then hopefully the Supreme Court. But I am a people person. I like dealing with people. So I love dealing with jurors every week, the lawyers every week. And in appellate court, you only deal with the paper. So I don't know at this point. I like what I do, though. So I hope they keep electing me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry. Hi.
Hello. My name is Matthew Richardson. I'm a public relations major, and I'm just wondering, how can I use my own experiences to encourage others to be more active?
In the community?
In the community and in their own personal lives.
I think you start by being an example. If you're going out into the community, for example, here tonight, I think people will be inspired to go into their community and do things that can benefit the community. I think you start by being an example. The other thing I think is that you use what you're good at. Everybody's not good at public speaking, but they may be good at doing paperwork in some community arena. So I suggest you be an example and then encourage people to use the talents that they have. In public relations, I assume that means you're good at helping people promote their talents and gifts. So with that in mind, I think you would use that talent that works for you, so it'll be easy for you. That comes easy to you as a public relations major. It may not become easy for this young lady who may not be in public relations. So use your talents and gifts as an example for other people so that they'll try and follow in your footsteps and become involved in the community.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Yusra. I'm a English and political science major, and I was just wondering, what was one of your biggest challenges, whether it be being a minority in the court system, I guess?
I did not see being a minority as a challenge. I saw it as a gift. And I say that because even though I was in an office that had, out of 80 lawyers, there were probably 3 blacks when I was there, but they were able to use the gifts that I had. For example, if there was a case where it was all African-American people who could not relate to a lawyer that was not African-American, they would call me in to be involved, to consult on the case, to bridge the gap. I saw that as a gift. Other people may see it as they're using you because you're the only black. I think it's a gift because the individuals were the victims, and they were best served if they could relate, and they could relate to me. So I did not see that as a hindrance. I think the biggest hindrance I had was trying to overcome stereotypes in my own mind. Because I think in my mind, I thought people felt a certain way. So I think that makes you put up boundaries or put up walls to protect yourself. I think you should look at anything that may make in your mind that make you want to believe that people think a certain way, put them out your head.
Okay.
Yes.
Second question. Who do you consider one of your biggest influences?
My Aunt Rolanda. When I was raised by my grandmother, and my grandmother died when I was 15, and my Aunt Rolanda came and took us into her house. We were 15 and 16 years old, and I think she was my biggest influence because she changed the way that I thought, and she put other women in my life who could be examples before me. So she is my biggest influence.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello. My name is Krista Maris. I'm a communication major. My question for you is, what is your biggest personal or professional experience that you're most proud of? Or, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of being Travis's wife and Morgan's mommy. That's what I'm most proud of, personally. I am. That is my biggest gift to the world, in my opinion.
Okay, I have another question.
Yes.
With you coming from such what most would see as a difficult background, with your grandmother dying, you witnessing your brother being killed, what influences you every day? Do you wake up with a spiritual mindset? Do you wake up with an ambitious goal?
I have a Christian worldview, and I think that is what has kept me sane. And my Aunt Rolanda took me to church, and I think that is what made all the difference in changing my mentality about the world. And that is what I wake up to every single day, that keeps me going and that encourages me and that helps me to do what I do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, my name is. Sorry. Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Wanda Fisher.
Hi, Wanda.
I am older than all these young people in here, but I'm a student at Edward Waters College. I'm majoring in psychology. I started a little later on in life. What advice could you give me?
I would suggest that you not put up any walls that can hinder you that other people aren't putting up for you. I think sometimes you think if you're a non-traditional student that you may be at a disadvantage. I think it can be used as an advantage. For me, as an analogy, for me, coming from a background where I did not have my parents, where my mother was on drugs, my brother was killed at 17, I think statistics would have counted me out. So you may see statistics that say because you went to school late, you may not be as progressive as everyone else. You may not be able to find a job as fast. I think you need to ignore all that. I think you need to put it out of your mind and just focus on the goal ahead and set a goal. All you need is one yes. I mean that when I say that. All you need is one yes. So don't be discouraged by the fact that you went a different route than everyone else, because that route can get you to the same place.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you.
I hope that helps. Hi.
My name is Faith Anderson. I am a criminal justice major. My question to you is, I guess, what advice would you give to me, being that I'm about to graduate, as far as like resources go? Because I'm currently interning for the Department of Juvenile Justice. But if if this is not my one yes, I mean, is there some
Yes.
resource that you could give me?
Yes, I always suggest, and I suggest to my mentees, I always suggest that until you find the job of your dream or the job in the field that you desire, volunteer in that field and work somewhere else. Because you need money to live. But if you volunteer in your field, when they're ready to hire, you'll be the first person they look to because you volunteered when you weren't getting a check. So if you're not able to find a job in your field, volunteer in that area and work somewhere else. And be good at what you do when you're volunteering.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
The Princess Wave.
Well, they did save the best for last.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Aristian Franklin. I'm an ed leadership major here at UNF.
Hello.
I just want to know, being a judge, I know that your schedule is very demanding. You've already said you have a bonus daughter and a smaller daughter and a husband. How do you balance the career and family life?
I think the characteristics that I shared help. Being organized helps so much. Having a great judicial assistant helps so much. And having a really good support system helps so much. Because it is really difficult to balance it all, to be good at what you do at work and not allow it, being a mother, to hinder you in a male-dominated field. So being extremely organized is the key to getting it all done and getting it done well. We look at our calendars and we compare. And we have sticky notes and we decide what works and what doesn't. He wanted to be here with me tonight, so we had to make that work because we have a 3-year-old at home. So you have to be extremely organized and you have to not overextend yourself. So when my judicial assistant sets my schedule, she looks to see how many other speaking engagements I have because I have to have time to write the speech, you know. So she keeps me organized and that she watches my schedule to make sure I don't overextend myself. You can't say yes to everyone. So I think organization is key and prioritizing is key to doing it all.
Okay, my name's Dominique Peterson. I'm an English and political science major. Sign language is my minor. I graduate this summer and I want to do law school, but I don't want to be in like a large amount of debt when I get out. So do you think like the name really matters? Because I mean, in Florida, FAM is the cheapest law school, but I mean, I don't know if the name really matters. So for you, like I know you applied at 10 schools, but.
The name matters to some people. It does. I mean, there just are employers where the name matters to some people. I would not let that hinder me. I would go to the law school that works for me if I believe that it works for me in my financial situation, and then I would let me speak for itself, let you make the determination of which route you go after that. Because I believe that even though you may go to a certain law school, I think people will see potential in you. They'll look at your grades, they'll look at what you did in law school, if you were in mock trial or in moot court, if you interned certain places, I think those can balance out. So honestly, it does matter to some people, but I don't think it can hinder you.
Okay, so I mean, obviously I could get a loan. So do you think I should take one for the team and get a loan? Or like go to would you recommend, if, depending on what schools I got into, like, would you recommend taking one for the team?
You have to decide what works for you. I had student loans, obviously. I have to say, in my opinion, I have to pay some bill. Mm-hmm. It was the best bill I have to pay, in my opinion. But if you can do it some other way, do it some other way. I remember when I got ready to get married, I was thinking, when my husband sees these student loans, he might say, I changed my mind. But he didn't change his mind.
Judge Cox, you talked a lot about services that you provide to your lawyer, services that you provide to your family. Is there an underlining philosophy that you provide to the people that come into the courtroom, the general public that the state and the prosecutors are looking into? Is there an underlining? I'm a math major, education minor. And
I don't know that there's a philosophy in court other than being detached and neutral and trying to be fair and listen to both sides. I hope that when people come into my courtroom and they leave, they felt like they were heard, that I was fair, and that I followed the law. So I try to be consistent in that. And I think the lawyers that appear before me feel that way. So that's all I can say: detached, neutral, fair, and just.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any? Thank you for having questions.
Stanford D. Taylor again.
Yes, Stanford.
My question for you is, as a lawyer, what would you say your style was? A lot of lawyers speak of how they were in the courtrooms. I just want to know how your style was.
I think you can probably glean that I'm a little feisty. And in the courtroom, that can work for you, but you also have to balance your jury, their citizens. And there were times where there's a lawyer locally, Lee Hutton. Lee Hutton was my resident second chair. He was always the person I went to balance out the fiery personality, because he was very laid back. He was like dousing water on that personality. And I thought he could reach jurors that were more like him, and I could reach jurors that were more like me. So although I have a very outgoing personality, a very fiery personality, I tried to make sure that whoever was on the case with me could balance that out in case there were individuals who didn't like that style. Because there are people who don't like that style. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Allen. I'm a community health major.
Yes.
My question is, like, a lot of stuff that you said was like really relatable to me, especially with the GPA and the personality. But when did you learn that? When did you like learn to embrace yourself, that it's okay to be you and like make it work for you?
I think it was a process. I think it's still a process, because there are certain pressures, especially when you're an elected official. So I think it's an evolution. I think every year I learned more that made me more confident in myself. I think having my mentors helped me to be more confident in myself, because I would talk to them about those issues. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Do you think it's bad that I do this in trial? Do you think it's this? So I talked to those people I trust to start to gain confidence in who I really was. I remember having a supervisor who was very conservative. And when I got him as a supervisor, I was thinking, he is not gonna like me. I think I'm gonna be a little too ghetto for him. I just don't know. I didn't think it was gonna work. But he ended up liking my style. So what I learned from that was, don't suppress Angela because of what other people think, but be wise. And we should be able to be fluid and work in whatever situation we're in. So you'll begin to do that over time as you talk to people that you trust about the issues you encounter.
My second question is, like, do you feel that people try to put boundaries on you, or have you, like, as you've matured and grown, do you, like, not really recognize those boundaries?
Oh, I still feel it. Yes, I do. I still feel it all the time, especially because in the political arena, people have opinions about the way you should do things so that you can stay elected, about what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. So yes, I think they try and put boundaries on me, but I try and do what's best for Angela. I have my sounding board in Travis. I'll ask him because he's very laid back. So I'll be ready to shoot off an email when somebody tells me what to do. And I'll ask him, should I do this? So yes, people start to put boundaries, will continue to put boundaries around you, but you have to be wise in the choices that you make. And it is so important to use your support system to help you make those decisions. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Fill out your evaluations, please, those of you that are leaving. Yes, pause, pal.
Hello.
Hi.
Two-parter. First part is, would you be able to shine some light on, for those who may be interested in entering a mentorship partnership with someone? How would you go about it?
How would you go about it? I think it's very important to look at the associations in your field, whether it's a bar association for law, psychology association for psychology majors. Start in those fields because oftentimes they have mentor-mentee programs. And if not, suggest it. Yes.
All right, second part is, off the bat, do you have a quote or a cliche that you live by that you use as an affirmation?
It's so many. I think I said a lot of them today. I have so many, but I don't know. Somebody write down one I said.
All right.
Be you, be the best you can be. I don't know. I have so many cliches I live by because they are so true. You want me to get fired up?
You're just fired up.
I am fired up?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I take that as a compliment. Okay. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please fill out your evaluation so that they can prepare a program for you next year that is just as good if you believe that it was good. And if you think it can be better, please share that as well. I always ask Dr. Daywood to share with me things I can do to make my presentation better so that I can be more beneficial to students. So if you have any feedback, please share it with those in charge. Thank you so much.